So we really just gonna sit here and act like we're gonna go to school from the age of like 4 or 5 until we get to about 18. And then we have the option to do it again until we're about 21, 22 years old. And then we have another option to do it from about 22 to about 28, maybe even 30. Now, after school, so let's say you stop after you hit age 22 and you graduate from undergrad, right? By that time, you're expected to know exactly what you want to do with your life for the rest of your life. You should have a whole bunch of things lined up in order. You should be married. You should be planning to have kids. You should understand what it takes to lead a full-time job. Work from 9 to 5, and then with your paycheck, you should be able to support a family, support yourself, maintain a household until you're about 65, and you can retire, right? And then once you retire, then that's when you can enjoy life, right? But somewhere along the way, maybe at about 40, 45, there's this thing called a midlife crisis. And I honestly do think that that's like a sociological awakening. And this is my sociological bias because I'm studying sociology in grad school. Where, yo, hold up. I've been running in this rat race since I was about 20, 21, 22. I'm working at this job that I may or may not like, but it pays the bills. After I pay the bills and whatever debt that has come along from either credit cards, auto loans, mortgage loans, what else? Anything that incurs debt? Yeah, so you use that money to pay down debt. You use that money to pay off bills. With the rest, you use it for entertainment and food, loved ones, family members. It could be children, it could be spouse, what have you, partner. And then you hit 40, 45, 50. There's a midlife crisis where you're like, wait a minute. So I've been doing all this, spinning my wheels. I've been in this rat race and I've been doing what I think is right. And the only thing that I think is right is just what I've been told repeatedly from parents, teachers, people in positions of authority in my life. TV, movies, music. And if everybody's saying the same thing and I see other people in my life going in the same direction, then that makes sense. Let me just do that. Let me go with the flow for real. And then, oh, wait a minute, I don't actually like this direction. So what is the one thing that people do when they hit that midlife crisis, so to speak? You buy things. You buy things that you think will quell the anxiety, that will diminish those feelings of, man, I think I've been doing things not because I want to, but because I have to. And I thought that if I was able to do all the things that I had to and get that out the way, then later on in life I could do what I wanted to do. But because I spent so much time doing what I gotta do to sustain my life or sustain a specific lifestyle that I've been accustomed to, that I wanted to aspire to, and I finally reached to some capacity, that I forgot what I wanted to do. Or it was just like, you know, what I want to do ain't really, there's really no time or space for it. And I don't have the energy to do it. And maybe I just can't do it the way I used to. So then all your energy goes to 9 to 5. All your energy goes to doing things that just make sense, doing things that fit, doing things that may or may not bring you joy. So you buy things because you think those material objects will create a spark. Everything will be okay as long as I get this nice shiny new thing, or I make more money, or I need to find something that can bring some value back into my life. And it sucks so much, especially when that thing that you tried to buy still doesn't do what you thought it was going to do, as that spark that comes back, that piece of youthful exuberance that comes back into your life when you get a little bit older. And then you just chalk it up to, well, that's just how life is. The good old days are behind you. It's all right. You lived. You created a household. You provided for your family. And, you're just making a way so that your kids can grow up and do better than you did, which is the ultimate goal. Each generation is supposed to get better, right? But that is such a one-sided view of things. Excuse me, that is such a linear way of seeing the world and seeing life. And if you don't fit that path, then it's like, whoa, what you doing? You sure about that? You sure you want to do that? And it's crazy how it all boils down to money. Because with education, we're being groomed to be workers. Like, we're being groomed to be employees, we're being groomed to be rule followers, we're being groomed to be people who will arrive at a location at a certain point in time in the morning, which could be 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m., wait until lunchtime, which is about noon, and then do lunch 12 to 1, and then from 1 to about 3, 4, 5 p.m., it's like, all right, work day's done, now go home. Now from 6 p.m. to 11:59 p.m., you have whatever time you want to do with. And during the weekday, that time is typically spent doing a little bit of whatever hobby you may have, eating, bathing, a little bit of family time, if you see fit, social time, and then preparing for the next work day, or preparing for the next school day, preparing for the next deadline, preparing for the next project. And once you do that enough times, it becomes routine. And then it's like, okay, well, this ain't just routine no more. This is a lifestyle. This is what it's supposed to be. So from school, you go to work. We've commodified education in a way there's so much value in a diploma, and you're supposed to use that from preschool to high school. Now, to get that undergraduate degree, we gotta pay to get that. So there's value in a college degree, and then you may go into debt for that college degree, or you may not. But you gotta pay for education so that you can get a job that can pay you to live. Now, what sucks is when you go to college and then you get a mountain of debt and you need to find a job to pay down the debt. And then by the time you're finished paying down the debt, and not many people finish paying down the debt, by the time you're in your job, in your full-time job, working your 9 to 5, you have just given a lot of your life away to help somebody else do something. If you enjoy it, that helps. If you don't, that will weigh heavily on you physiologically, psychologically, emotionally, mentally. But if we're so focused on doing that, doing the rat race, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, then there's no time to breathe. there's no time to look up. There's no time to question. Because, first of all, not everybody has the privilege to be able to stop and breathe and really question the rat race, really question the status quo, really question why it is they do what they do. A lot of what we do in life is just mimicking what we see other people doing. Just seeing what makes sense and what yields results. Okay, I'm gonna just do that and just keep it pushing. Because I don't have time. I don't have time to waste. I have mouths to feed, I have bills to pay. So whatever I can access to pay those bills, to put food in the stomachs, put clothes on the backs, roof over the head, just gonna have to make it happen. And what's wild is how in social life, we ascribe so much value to people based on their education, their employment, what they do when they retire, and even how their funeral looks. If all of our value that we judge each other on, and I've definitely been guilty of this, if our value as human beings only comes from somebody's opinion and what I can perceive about you based on where you went to school, where you go to work, what you can produce or what you have produced in the past, or what you have the potential to produce in the future, then it's like, bro, that's a very limited view of humanity. That's a very limited view of somebody as an individual. That's a very limited view of just what I consider to be a fulfilling life. Because if I can only see a fulfilling life being something that is attained when you make a lot of money, no. Because there's plenty of people whose bank accounts are mighty fine, and yet they're depressed and anxious, and their family lives suck. Their social lives are in ruins, held together by duct tape. Actually, duct tape is pretty strong. Held together by masking tape, that clear Scotch tape holding together. The key point of all of this, you don't have to be productive to be valuable. Another key point, really question what you do and why you do it. And this can start as early as elementary school. Why am I learning this stuff? Why am I in school? Why did mommy and daddy, or why did my parents, why did my grandparents, why did my older siblings, why did my friends, why did so-and-so on TV, on YouTube, on Instagram said this? Why they do that? And also be careful who you ask that question to, because anybody who gives you a reason why something is the way it is, they can only speak from their own experiences and their own bias and their own lens on society. And that answer, while it could be a valid answer, it still may not be the end-all be-all, may not be 100% correct. It may not be the answer that fits your own life, your own path. And realistically, we're all flawed human beings. So anything that even I'm saying right now, I still have my own gaps in understanding. I still have my own biases or my perspective on how I see the world. And that's all constructed by my past experiences, other people that I've listened to, other information that I've consumed throughout my lifespan. Honestly, questioning why can save you a lot of money. Why am I buying this? Do I really need this? Does this add value to my life? I am inherently valuable as a human being. I have breath in my lungs. You are valuable because you're here. That's it. Not because of what you can produce, not because of what somebody else levels you at as a ranking in your job, what somebody else says you're capable of doing. what somebody said you have the potential to do in the future, so I'm gonna invest in you now. No, you're valuable because you exist. That's it. Your value does not come from your productivity. And I have to remind myself of that on a daily basis. It's a very conscious decision to remind myself, like, yo, yes, producing and creating is beautiful. It's a lovely thing when something in my mind, I can bring it out and bring it to fruition in real life. Because we're not put on this earth to work. We are not put on this earth to work. And that probably goes against the Protestant ethic. Look that up. It probably goes against a lot of what we consider to be the normal way of life. But that's under a capitalist economic system. If you are doubting your value, if you're doubting your existence, if you're doubting why you're not living in your purpose yet, first of all, that's okay. That is an okay space to be in. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to know everything from front to back. You don't have to have your life completely figured out at any given moment just because somebody asks, so what do you want to be when you grow up? You don't have to answer that question. Even if you've grown, so what's your next step in your career? Where do you see yourself going? Are you trying to do this, that, and the third? If you have that figured out, dope. If you don't, that's okay. You're not any less of a human being because you don't know the future. I'm learning to not pass judgment on people who don't have their futures figured out, because I am people who don't have their futures all the way figured out. Promise, trust, and believe. I don't have all the answers either. But that's a part of life where moving through uncertainty and just existing in ambiguity, there's some fun in that. There's some joy in that. There's some laughter in that. The bottom line is, your value is not solely dependent on what you can produce or create. My value is not solely dependent on what I can produce or what I can create. Just because I'm not producing or creating something that somebody else is making, that doesn't make me any less of a human. Doesn't make that other person any more of a human. We really all just out here just trying to figure it out as we go. We can take instruction and direction and social cues from other people around us, but at the very end of the day, bro, we all just humans. We're gonna make mistakes. We're gonna have our slip-ups. We're gonna have our faults. We're gonna have things that are just imperfect. And that is all okay. Essentially, I'm just giving myself grace, and I'm extending grace to others, just to say, like, yo, it ain't that deep, man. I'll leave you with this. You are valuable because you're breathing. Not because of what you've produced or created in the past, what you're producing or creating currently, or what you have the potential to produce or create in the future, but because you exist. You are inherently valuable. You are worth all the good things. You matter. Every good thing that comes your way, and all the bad things that come your way, let them come. Because you're still gonna be a human at the end of the day.